That work? That
It
worked,
did,
right?
it did. I think we're
There we
live.
are. Live in the boneyard. That's our older slash newer intro.
I love
And
it. I love
we
the
have a
intro. Very cool.
weird show tonight. We don't have the band song, but we have a lady here all the way from out east that does the same thing we do, man. So it'd be nice just to talk to you and kind of get our side of the perspective on how the industry works and how we work, right?
For sure. I'm
So
jealous. I'm jealous of you though, TJ, because you have an international co-host. That's
I
very cool.
know just talking about that breaking news,
Thank you
international
very much,
co-host.
Kelly. Thank you.
2 in the
You tell
morning
him.
when she
You
is.
tell him.
It's 2 in the morning and there she is. I love it.
Mhm.
With my bed hair. With
Yeah.
my bed hair. Hey,
Yeah.
Hollywood. First of all, hi, Kelly. Thank you so
How?
much for joining us.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
oh, it's such a huge honor to have you on. Just first of all, say hi to all our guys that's there. Hi, Donna, Hollywood, Kerry. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
All our loyal viewers. We love you to pieces.
For sure.
Now I've got it on full screen tonight, so I can't see any of the comments once again. So,
I got you.
Ilse,
Don't worry.
you got us. That's amazing. But let's get into it right away. The name of your podcast and where can we find it, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Tion. So my podcast is called Etc. on the Vibe Live. It streams on the Vibe Live broadcasting station as well as Facebook and as well as on my YouTube channel.
Oh wow,
There's
Nice.
Sunday at noon Mountain Standard Time. Every Sunday at noon.
that's your show. That's
Wow.
your time slot. Bammo, eh?
That's it. Yeah.
Now I
Well,
was gonna ask you. Oh, go ahead, Ilse.
no worries, no worries. Why did you decide to start the podcast?
Good question, Ilsa. Well, truthfully, I had a really good full-time job and but I am a musician. I was a road musician for 23 years with a rock band.
Oh,
And the
nice.
music has just been my life since I can ever remember. I knew from the time I was probably 9 years old that I was gonna sing in a band one day, and I would steal my older sister's albums and I would sing into my hairbrush, and it was just something I intrinsically knew from a very young age that music was definitely going to be my path. And so when I was 18, I quit hairdressing school and ran off with a rock band. As you do, as you do.
What you do when you're 18?
Right.
Hairdressing school. The only reason I took that is because my mother said, if you're going to go on the road, that's fine, we'll support you, but you have to have something to fall back on before you go. So I picked hairdressing because it was the shortest ticket that you'd get. I think it was a 10-month course. And I didn't even stay the full 10 months. I think I was 9 months in, and then I had an opportunity to join my good friend Paul Murray's band. And so I ran away with the rock band, and we ended up touring for 23 years.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
like
Wow.
a fairy
Like,
tale. Almost,
Straight, like no fixed address
Hollywood
kind
movie.
for most of those years.
Right.
And then so later on down the road, I got married and that sort of thing, and just did weekends with the band and whatnot. And so when the COVID hit and I got laid off, I had been invited by a gentleman of the name of Brent Cutforth here in Lethbridge, and he did a music show on Just TV, which is a local TV radio broadcasting station. And Brent asked me one day if I would mind being a co-host, and I was totally thrilled by the thought of it.
Yeah.
And they asked me, pick your own guest if you can do that. And it just so happened that I knew a few, fairly well-known artists in the Canadian music industry. And so I called on my good friend Mark Gladstone from Prism, and his lovely wife, Cheryl Jardine. And Cheryl also has a band with Mark called Stone Poets. And so I called them on. I was nervous, but apparently I did okay, because an hour after the show aired, the station manager called me up and said, you need to have your own show. You need to have your own show. And so I kind of really locked into it.
Wow.
That
Hey,
is
that's
so awesome. That is so awesome, because that's what I'm also doing. I didn't run away with a band because I can't sing to save my life, and I don't know how to play an instrument. But music has always kept. It's the only thing that hasn't left when everybody else leaves, and is there when you're in your darkest times. Your music is always there, and I've always wanted to also be in the music industry, but it's difficult if you can't sing to save your life or play an instrument. I can play the triangle, So if anybody needs somebody that can play the triangle in your band, I'm willing to run away. I'll travel the world. But that's why I also started. That's why we started Stone Daisies as well. So I do Stone Daisies with my daughter. She's 21, or she's turning 21 this year. So I do Stone Daisies with her, and we interview the South African metal bands because there's not a big platform or market, or I won't say market. It's not a big community. So we're trying to grow it by giving the people the platform to grow their music. So I really like what you're doing.
Thank you.
You must be doing it, please.
And I'm sure that your people, I really appreciate that you give them a platform as well.
They do. And then just before we go on, Rennie, Dave, everybody, hi. We've got Dave Lambert, and then we've got Rennie from, I don't know where Rennie is. I know he's in America. Rennie is also one of my great friends. I used to host a podcast in Ohio as well, a morning show. So that's why I know Rennie and all of them from. Yes, I used to do that as well.
Ireland in a Viking metal band from there. So when we go there, we're gonna go stop by his place and shit and hang out for a bit, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You guys are going on a big trip. That's so cool.
Yeah, might as well. I've already kind of broke the news for that. We're filming the whole thing live here in the Boneyard, and then good buddies of mine, Andrew and Nick, who are independent artists as well, and they'll be joining us and filming their side of it as well for all their content. Ilsa, I believe, is coming. We're gonna work real hard on getting that, and then my friend JoJo will be joining us as well. So there's 5 or 6. Hollywood might come for a week, depending on how the plane runs in. So we're trying to make it so that when we're on the bus, it's our whole, like, we own the bus in that sense, right?
We've got a spot for you, Kelly. Do you want to come?
Oh, hey, how much time do I have to plan for that? I smell shenanigans.
A whole year. It's only at the end of the year.
Right now, we can always change it if we've got to work around it. But January 4th, after the holiday season's done and over, we want to fly out. As of right now, plane tickets and bus tickets are only 1,200 Canadian for all that. Wow. So another 1,000 or 2, and you got 30 days to Bolivia, baby, live in the Boneyard.
Wow, I'm gonna seriously consider that. God knows.
Please. Oh, that would be insane. And then we've got a Viva South Africa here. So what I did is this morning or this afternoon, I just linked all my Facebook or social media accounts as well. So we are streaming on LinkedIn. Hi guys. We are streaming on Facebook. We are streaming I don't even know how many or wherever. So we want to really get your podcast out there. We want to support you. So please tell me, how did you get to your name? Why did you call it etc.?
You know what? That's actually a really funny story how the name came to be, because when the show came out, I was trying to think of a name, and I was texting a friend of mine, and we were talking about the show, and she said, what are you up to? And I said, I'm trying to figure out a guest, and now I've agreed to do the show, and I gotta figure out a name, etc. And I meant like, and so on and so forth. This is the crap I have to do. And she goes, "Oh, I love that, etc. That's a perfect name." And it was just this happenstance situation that happened, and I thought, etc. Yeah, and I just thought it was kind of catchy, and it kind of includes everything and everyone, etc. It doesn't pigeonhole you.
No, it doesn't.
And so it kind of started as a misunderstanding.
Well, it works. Don't change it. It works.
No, that's perfect. Now, do you have merch and stuff too for your show and that we can buy and help support your platform as well? Or
I don't yet, and I've had a few people contact me and offer, let me, I can make some t-shirts for you and that sort of thing. I just celebrated my 1 year of being on my own. I was with Just TV for a little while, and then when the COVID hit, and we had to start not doing it in the studio, because I used to do local people in the studio right in town here, which was great because there's a ton of amazing talent in this city as far as local musicians go. And then we got booted out of the studio because of COVID. And so now I'm doing it remotely. And at some point, I had to make a decision to leave Just TV because we just had creative differences.
Mhm.
Their equipment they used wasn't what I thought we just had differences. And so there was
Yes.
constantly streaming issues, and you guys know how stressful that is.
Oh yeah.
It
So I
is.
thought-
It is.
Yeah, it drives me insane. Nothing, people that know me know nothing will flip my switch quicker than the Wi-Fi going or something like that happening. But so I thought, well, the only way
Ain't that the truth?
and it's uncontrollable, and I think that's what
And
drives
it's
me nuts.
universal. It happens with me as well. It happens everywhere.
So yeah, anyway, long story short, I wanted to have complete control over everything, and so I just went off on my own, and I was a little afraid when I did that because I was leaving a well-established TV, radio, broadcasting station to just wing it on my own. And I just started thinking, I'm just going to start approaching, bands that I grew up listening to, people that I love to listen to then and now. And I forgot what the initial question was.
That's all right, because I'm gonna go in. Like, that's how the Boneyard kind of started. Was independently. I was interviewing the bands in person, and then, like you said, COVID shut down. How do we keep the show alive, right? So being online almost made it more easier for myself, because now my first band, I drove all the way to Arizona to interview, right? And then drove across state interviewing people and stuff across the way, and ended my tour in Montreal. So I drove for over 1,100 miles for the first real Boneyard official as music channel, right? And then
that's dedication. Good for you.
to go like this now, I'm not flying to. I'll fly back to South Africa anytime, but I don't have to fly there if I don't have to, or travel.
Right.
And that.
And I'm sorry, guys. I know now it's dawning on me. We're talking about merchandise. The answer is not yet, because I really just wanted to get a year in. I didn't want to pile too much on. I do have another job as well. So I'm just going to give it a year, and then I'll look into branching out into different areas, which is kind of where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
well,
nice.
when you do find the merch, we are looking for a merch supplier, because I can't make the amount of T-shirts that people want. So that I've been contacted about. So if you do come across someone, or someone knows a great deal that we can have here in the Boneyard, for sure, man, let us know.
I know somebody. We'll talk after. I know somebody. Yeah.
Because we've been dying to get our merch set up, but every order or every kind of corner we take kind of not falls through, but doesn't work out. It's like, oh man, what the fuck?
It's a full-time job. You need somebody that's just dedicated to just that.
Right. So
you say you toured for 23 years in music. Who did you play with? What big names did you headline for?
I didn't play with any big brand. I didn't play with any big names. We were a bar band. I'm just being honest. We were a bar band, and but you know what? I wouldn't trade those years for the world, because to me, we weren't famous, we weren't household names, but I got to see the entire country, literally from Yellowknife to Quebec, and everywhere in between. And to me, success is measured in different ways. I don't think for me personally, it doesn't take a hit record or $1 million in a match to equal success. For me, if you get up and you're getting out and you're doing what you love and you're getting paid for it, it doesn't get better than that. So
then you're living the dream.
Absolutely.
That is where that is the big thing that I ask a lot of the bands that we interview as well. A lot of them have day jobs. So
right?
Yes. And people don't understand that when you start getting paid and you make enough money to survive off your talent or off your passion, it's easier to wake up and do it than to go to a dead-end job where you're not happy.
So, I agree, Elsa. I agree. I heard a saying once: if you love what you do, you never have to work for a living.
No,
that is true.
And I certainly felt that. Way, to be able to do it for that long. And I also feel really fortunate that, when my band was on the road in the 80s and 90s, there was so much work. You didn't have to have a day job. Like, if you were willing to just, crunch it out and be a road rat, which we all were, we had an agent, and they would just, we just lived in hotels. None of us had a fixed address. We just lived for years wherever the agent would send us. And of course, supply the hotels and whatnot. And
Yeah.
I could have done it forever. If I had stayed 25, I'd probably still be doing it. But
All right. Road rats. I've heard a lot. We've been called no names, highway pirates, road rats, right?
oh yeah, road warriors.
My love for the road and just being a nomad even translates into my real job that I do. Like my job, this is my career. I look at it. When I get up in the morning 9 to 5, that's just my job, right? So fucking
100%.
yeah, I'm in hotels all the time with them, like mainly all through the. I'm gone for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time, right? Come home for a couple of days, and then you're gone again, right?
Right. Yeah, I have another job too. Hopefully none of my bosses are watching, but I'm a writer, so I'm a content coordinator, and I design a magazine and all the content and write stories on families and sometimes local musicians and stuff. And I love it because it's another creative outlet.
Mm-hmm.
But truthfully, I definitely am more excited about my show. And there's times when I have to remind myself to focus on, the bread and butter gig, which is my writing job. Because I would just harass rock stars all day long and not get anything else done.
Right. If I've got a day off, that's all I do. I'm sending messages, talking to people, man. Like, let's make another show. How many days can I book ahead? Like, right now we're doing 2 months ahead, so we're doing all right as far as getting the bands and shit. It's just keeping it all organized and straight. And then I got 4 books on the go. I got my travel book, my work book, my official hours for my work book, and then the Boneyard scribble book. So I got an extra book, and then my actual official Boneyard, write it down. This is what's actually happening.
You're old school. You're like pen and paper old school. Sometimes that's best though, eh?
Once I write it down, I remember better. If I just text it or send it somewhere in the internet, it disappears out of my brain. Like fuck, if I don't write it down, I can't recall it. So
me too. My book and my laptop is always open. So when something happens, I need to write it down. I'm very bad with the times and the time zone. So there's a couple of interviews that I slept through totally, and then I wake up the next morning. I'm like, oh, fuck, I forgot. I slept. But we're getting there. We're getting better with the time zones and taking a nap during the day, so I can be okay. 2 o'clock in the morning.
I sympathize with you, Elsa. I sometimes have dreams, and I think not so much now, but in the beginning, I think they're kind of slight anxiety dreams where I wake up and I've dreamt that I've just missed the whole show and I would die. I was like, I would die.
If it was, I usually just send DJ a message. I'm so sorry I slept. And he goes like, no, it's fine. It happens because I will sleep through an alarm. If it's a good day, I will sleep through an alarm clock. Atomic bomb, whatever. But the last couple of years aren't good. So we wake up for the slightest little thing. But then some days we're like, okay, my body is so tired. I sleep through the show, the alarm clock, everything.
Ilsa, I appreciate that you're getting up at 2 a.m. to talk to me. I really do.
Oh, it's such an honor. I was so grateful when I woke up and I saw the missed calls and it's 1:45. I'm like, yes, I'm awake. Let's do this.
Yeah, I'm just getting my shit together. I'll be right on.
Let me just fix my bed here.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate you big time over here too. You help push the show more. You know what I mean? You help us keep it together now. A lot more organized with you around for sure, right?
So I see Kerry says, I remember when bands got a percentage of the alcohol sales back in the day.
Is that directed at me? I'm thinking that's directed at me.
I think so, yeah.
I never once got a percentage of an alcohol sale ever in my entire life.
No.
And while we're mentioning that, I should have, because I was certainly contributing to the sales of alcohol when I was on the road.
We had one place.
You wouldn't need a day job if they could send you all the royalties from back then on the alcohol you drank.
We got to play for free beer one time, and that we made more money technically that way than we would have took the money. Yeah. They didn't realize how much we could drink. I'm a champ, bud.
So interviewing so many people, can you give us some names of episodes that our viewers can go and watch of bands that you've interviewed?
Oh, so if they were to go to either the Vibe Live broadcasting, if you just Google etc. on the Vibe, it's going to come up. All my shows are there, and as well as the YouTube channel. So, so there was and there's been so many, it's hard to remember. Lee Aaron has been on twice. Darby Mills, Nick Gilder, the boys from Streetheart, Prism, Harlequin, Helix, Saga, Toronto. Chilliwack, Pete Agnew, which we were just discussing before the show, from Nazareth was on. Alan Fruit from Glass Tiger.
No way,
Glass Tiger. And I got Dave Ray from Teenage Head coming up on Sunday and next week. Oh, and I had Andy Curran on last weekend, who is now touring, of course, with Alex Lifeson from Rush. And
right. That's
amazing new band, Envy and None. So they were on. Miles Goodwin has been on from Maple Wine. And I even had a non-musician on once. I actually had Cyrus from Trailer Park Boys on. Bernard Robichaud, who plays like the gun packing, drug dealing Cyrus.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's awesome. So
that is.
How did your process work for you getting the band set? Is it just through the people you've met throughout the years, or did the show set it up for you, or they just said, here's the show, do what you have to make it done,
No, pretty much from the get-go it was up to me. Although when I was with Just TV, I think they might have had a say. And sorry, I should have turned my phone down. And that would have been, more like it was local people, which was amazing. And so I had a lot of really good local people on. No, it's all on me to find these bands. But you know what? I really love that challenge, and it's definitely gotten easier in the beginning because I didn't have a big repertoire of people. So I was at the mercy of people. Here's my show. Like, please just come. And lucky for me, a couple of gracious people, who are very well known, agreed to come on. And I think COVID really was helpful to me in that, because I think so many people were bored out of their freaking skulls, and I think that worked in my favor because it was easy for me to approach people that just really weren't. They weren't touring. They were bored. They were, everyone was just trying to do something.
Yes.
You guys, I really just lucked out with, of course, Mark, the keyboard player for Prism came on, and then, then Al Harlow from Prism came on, and then Jeff Neal from Streetheart came on, and then Paul McNair, who was their singer, came on. And once you get a few well-known ticket people like that, then you can now go to other artists and say, hey, this is my show, this is what I do, this is who I've had on.
Yeah.
And as the list grows, it then becomes kind of really easy to sell it, because I think artists they see who you've had on and they go, wow, why wouldn't I?
I know
I've been doing I must say on our side as well, from Boneyard and from Stone Daisy's side, it's not difficult getting the artist to help you. Here and there's a couple that don't want to, and that's got this whole vibe of doing you a favor. But the ones that we've had on, or the ones that we've approached, they all are so eager to be on the shows. They're very, very eager to be on the show. Just before we go on, I just want to give a big shout out to Brandon Croucher. Big love. Thanks for joining. I did the podcast with him, The Light Cafe from Ohio.
Yeah. That's right.
Yes. So you just wanted to say hi.
Oh, hey,
Thank
man.
you so much for showing love. I really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. And then Susan as well. Susan says, hi, everyone, just online now from New Zealand. So we've got people from Ohio. We've got people from Chicago. We've got, and Brandon says, Prism, love them. Want to see them. I'm Red Rock. I'm at Red Rock later this year. Aren't you going to Red Rock as well? You said you're going.
Right. I Rock the River. And actually, Prism was there last summer, and I got to hang out with them after the show. And they sound amazing. Like, Al sings the same as he did, years ago, and their songs are still so relevant and people still love them, and they just had the place going nuts. And great people. They're all just, Mark Gladstone has become, him and his wife Sherelle have become really good friends of mine, and they were just so gracious and friendly, and we took pictures and hung out with them for a bit, and they sound amazing live. They sound like the album. So you're gonna enjoy that, Brandon.
Yeah.
We need an update after the show so that we can use. To what show are you going? You going to? You just said the name now.
So I'm going to Rock the River 22, which is in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Okay, and then the lineup. You said there was an insane lineup. Do you maybe want to tell us what the lineup is?
It's most of my guest list actually. So I'm trying to get the ones that haven't been on.
Yeah.
So there's Kim Mitchell, who's one of my dream guests. So I'm working on him right now. Martin Cummings, Toronto, Saga, Nazareth, Teenage Head, Little River Band. Oh my God! And I know I'm going to forget somebody, and someone's going to be. Right. You know who you are. You're amazing, and you're going to be there. But it's such a great party if you've never been. It's outdoors, and the setting is by the river, and there's this huge castle of a hotel that kind of surrounds the area.
Oh,
it's just wow. I went last year for my first time, and I just had the best time of my life.
I'm definitely putting that on my bucket list. Definitely. I've got a long bucket list like this for everywhere I'm going and everyone I'm going to visit. Yeah. So it's a long list. I'm definitely putting that on there.
It happens every year, so.
Yes.
You got to come to Canada, man. We'll just drive on over to Saskatoon.
There you go.
Kerry put another comment here. She says, with venues closing because of the pandemic and all of the other bullshit going on, do you think people will be less likely to go to shows if the prices are ridiculous?
That question is directed to me. Kerry, I don't think that's going to happen. I haven't seen that yet. Like the price of Rock the River is the same as it was last year. I hate to think that there are a-holes out there that are capitalizing on the fact that people have been locked down all this time. And I know myself personally, if I thought there was a venue or a promoter that was gouging people based solely on the fact that they've been locked down and they're itching to get out, I would boycott that event at all costs. Yeah. So my answer to that is I haven't seen it happen yet. And I really hope that, as Canadians, we're just going to be grateful that we can get back out and share that loving music and make it affordable.
Here, the last couple of tickets I bought have been like normal price, nothing crazy, right? So it's been
yeah, in South Africa as well, in South Africa, our tickets to shows or to the metal shows that we go to, we went to one last week, and it's like 100 Rand, so it's less than $10 for a ticket.
Wow.
Yeah. Like
yes, so that's what we pay for. But if the international people come, then we can't afford it. Well, not the middle class people. Because then your tickets get like 1,500 Rand or something like that, and that's a lot of money. That's like $100. So it gets expensive when international people, the local people, the tickets they want the people at their shows. So they don't make it expensive so the people can come out, because with the pandemic everybody was locked down. So now it's like there's a show and everybody comes. Everybody just wants to be at the show. So it's nice. It's nice with the pandemic that I think is over. I don't know. Is it over?
Who knows? It's over for now, but I don't think it's ever going to be over. I think it just has come to a time where we just have to get on with life. And if we waited till the pandemic was over, we could be locked down infinity. I mean, at some point, I think you just take a calculated risk. But I don't want to start this whole shit show argument about anti-vax and vaccine. But for me, it's like I just got triple vaxxed. I wash my hands. I take precautions, but I refuse to live in fear. Like from the get-go, from this, I refuse to live in fear.
Well, I went to South Africa during the height of it all. I had to get my 2 shots. If it wasn't for that, I would have never got them personally. But I don't see what it matters whether you get it or I get it or don't get it. Who cares, right? You're all taking the same risk in that sense of going out into the world, regardless if you get hit by a car, fucking, shot in a robbery. Who fucking knows, right? So why all this fear,
Yeah, I mean, and that does not mean that I negate the seriousness of it. Like that's, refusing to live in fear doesn't mean that I don't get that it's serious. I personally know people that have come close to death with it.
Yeah, even me.
And somebody I know right now is really sick with it, and they've been vaccinated. So, it's not that but I just can't live in fear. I just, I kind of feel like, the universe has it planned, and when it's your time, it's your time. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be safe.
I agree with you.
Even my good buddy Alex from down south out of Cotterize, huge shout out to those guys. Fucking, he suffered with it. And being the lead singer, he was afraid he wasn't going to be able to sing again and stuff afterwards, and the long term effects someday. And there's always that nervousness, shit, right? But you do have to go on and live on regardless. So
you do. And I was out shopping today a couple hours before the show, and I was at Walmart actually, and I'm not ashamed to say I freaking love Walmart because as a busy woman, I love that I can get groceries, toiletries, light bulbs, some new towels or whatever I need, and grab a Big Mac on the way out. I love it. But there was today was kind of quiet. There's a that was the first time I had been there since the mask mandate had been removed, and I just felt this. I'm seeing people's faces, and I couldn't help. I must have looked like an idiot because I was just like making eye contact with everybody I passed and smiling, and it's something about strangers smiling at each other that I just missed so much during the last couple years.
Yeah, it's hectic walking into a place and not being able to see somebody's face because you're so used to being able to hug people. Because I'm a hugger.
Yeah,
I hug. But not just that, not being able to hug them and not being able to see their faces and that whole not being able to socialize. I mean, we're social creatures, so I think that hit everybody like between the eyes. It was
facial
hectic.
recognition, man. You have it deep in your DNA before you're even born to recognize faces, and now all of a sudden we've cut that right out, right? Like, we're not normal.
not normal. It's like we are living through something that is like it's going to go down in history. Like people will be reading about this.
True. Brandon says he agrees with us. He says it's great to see smiles again. It's almost awkward. And then Nicole says, hi, TJ.
Hey, man.
And Kerry says Kerry was lucky, or is it unlucky? I don't know if it's a lucky or unlucky, but she says she's never been locked down. She had to work all the time. So I don't know, is that lucky? Is that unlucky?
Depends on how you look at it.
Conundrum.
My job, we worked pretty well. I had 10 days off technically for the pandemic, and then we were ordered essential and went back to work, right? So It didn't affect me in that sense as far as losing my job or having to learn how to work from home, and then now they're trying to drag you back to the office.
I know.
I can do my job from home. I'm not going to the office. Right?
It's very anxiety causing. I was lucky. I worked from home, but I kind of was already doing part of my job from home anyway. I just had 2 jobs before I had the show. So for me, it wasn't that much of a transition because now I'm just doing my writing magazine job from home. But I have to admit the thought now of not working from home and I'm not a person who suffers from anxiety whatsoever, and I know I speak for a lot of people when that transition to go back out to work really caused a lot of stress, a huge amount of stress and anxiety for people because you just get in your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. A lot, and I think the musicians and the entertainment industry was the ones that suffered the most.
For sure, yeah.
And the restaurants and stuff, because that is like completely closed down. It was completely closed, and I don't think I think a lot of artists went inside and just got creative, and a lot of good music and good bands came from the pandemic. But then there's a lot of ones that didn't make it, so that's sad. It's sad to see the polar opposites of the two.
You're right, Elsa. You're right. I know one thing for sure. There's a lot of new albums that are out.
There
is. That's what I've had on. You guys have probably experienced this too. Is, one of my first questions is, what have you been up to during the Strange? And almost everybody I've had on in the last little while, I said, I just dove into the studio. I wrote. We have a new album out. So I guess it depends on what you chose to do at that time. To use it to your advantage, or But I do hear what you're saying. Also, there's certain people like. For example, us who are not famous rock stars, if we,
I'm gonna get a triangle and be in a rock band. Just wait.
But we just get a different job. But I mean, let's face it. If you're Lee Aaron or any of the people that we've had on our show that's what, you're not going to go work at Walmart, that's what they do. That's all they know. That's all they've done, So I do feel for a lot of our Canadian artists, they're obviously not going to go sell shoes or something, for heaven's sake. That's who they are. That's what they do. And so yeah, I really felt bad for a lot of my friends who make their money performing. Specifically, that's it. So yeah.
I know. Big shout out to sorry to cut you off. Big shout out to Your Last Wish. They just dropped the album as the pandemic was happening, and then they didn't even get the tour for that album.
Yeah.
Right. So it was definitely hard for bands that had that happen. So many we've talked to just come out with the album, and then the pandemic hit, and they couldn't tour with it no more. Right. So
yeah, that would be rough for those guys.
That was rough. I wanted to ask you. You've been doing your music podcast for 2-3 years, about 2 years.
I know. So I'm just getting in. The only reason I know this is because Facebook is now starting to spit up memories of my first guests. So it's been about a year independently. Not longer than a year and a half.
So where do you want to take the channel? What is your main goal, your focus for the next year or 2 years with your channel? Where do you want to go? Where do you see it?
Well, actually, it's kind of strange also that you would ask me that today, because I was just having a conversation earlier with a friend about an idea and a connection he has as far as taking the show next level. And I haven't had time to speak with him today, but we'll go over that tomorrow. But yeah, my goal now is to just take it. I'm always trying to push things next level. Like if I just keep doing this, I'll get bored. Truthfully, if I just don't try and raise the bar, I'll get bored and do something else.
Same.
So, but because I'm very passionate about this, and I think we'll never run out of Canadian icons. There's and
that's
then
so true, man. Being Canadian as well, right?
And it just gives me.
Mentioned I grew up with that, like being on my mom's side and stuff, being half raised here in Canada. I got to hear all that,
Yeah, and I think it's kind of me being the age I am, because I think my demographic is, I think, probably like 40 to 65.
Yeah,
I'm a 50-year-old kind of graphic, that age group. But we were there when these people first came out, and we were there when they were at their heights, and we're there now, and they're still now, and we still want to hear them. And so I don't know, I get such pleasure out of it, and then I read the comments, and it gets, to be able to do something that other people enjoy. And I think one of the best compliments I ever got was not that long ago, and they said, Kelly, your show made the last 2 years bearable.
Wow,
that's amazing.
And I just about started bawling, because I'm a person, but I just, and I can tell by the comments coming up, you guys have amazing viewers too, and we all know if it wasn't for those viewers, we wouldn't have a show. So I just I appreciate the hell out of them. I do.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's like us. We're dreaming big. We want to build the festival.
I'm so sorry, TJ. I keep interrupting you. I've got to. Okay, my turn. All over the show today. It's early in the morning. Okay, so Brandon has got a very good question. He asks, "What are your thoughts on Dolly Parton not accepting the invite to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and who would you like to see replace her for an induction?"
Rage Against the Machine.
First of all, on the Dolly Parton thing, I read that yesterday, I think it was, and I just thought, I've always loved Dolly Parton. I'm not a country fan, but talent is talent, right? And I've always thought highly of her, and I just thought she just raised the bar, in my opinion, of her by doing that. It's obviously for her, it's not about grabbing any award she can. It's about what's right.
Mm-hmm.
And like Dolly Parton, like what person on crack even? Sorry, what person? What were they on? Were they drunk? Like Dolly Parton and the Canadian Rock and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like I don't even understand that. And clearly Dolly didn't either. So I love her. I think kudos to her for having that type of integrity. I respect that.
Yes. Who do you think they should put in her place, or who do you think deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame who is not there?
Actually, him. A little late for George, but.
I'd have to think on that for a bit.
Yeah, we'll have to
next time. I'm going to say any one of my etc. guests.
Yeah,
just put them all in.
Any one of them would work. I would obviously pick someone Canadian. Rush for sure belongs there. The Tragically Hip.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the American Hall of Fame too, so it could be anybody.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize how much amazing music we have in Canada. Like,
I didn't.
To go to the States.
Show. It's like they're from Canada. Nick Gilder's Canadian. I always thought Nick Gilder was like, well, and he he's got an English background, but I always thought he was like, I was blown away to find out he lived in Canada. And then I was really excited because cool, now I can have him on the show.
Yeah. So do you branch out to more international bands and stuff then as well, or is that your plan to eventually do that, or?
Eventually, I would like to, I would like to see that happen. I noticed you guys, you definitely have a lot of international fans, and you have an international guest host, which is awesome. Right now, my fan base is, my viewer base is pretty much Canadian, but it touches all the provinces, and I think that's because the show is Canadian Icons. I've only had one guest on, and that was Pete Agnew from Nazareth, who in fact is not a Canadian. But I had an opportunity to get him through my good friend Bernie Aubin, who is the drummer for the Headpins and also the president of Canadian Classic Talent. And he dangled that in front of me, and I yes.
Right. All right. Thank you.
It's all good. We'll look the other way this time.
So true, though.
Yeah. I think the reason I have a few American, and it depends on the guests. It depends on the guest. Some guests will bring in their fans from other countries. I had Alan Frew from Glass Tiger on, and he had viewers from Scotland popping in, and so
all over.
Kerry,
I love the fact that we're international. We get a lot of the local scenes internationally, which is pretty awesome to do. That local scene in that sense, but local scene from everywhere. Right.
No, and what's nice is one of the local bands that we are familiar with, that they're actually playing a gig now on Saturday for free, and then they're going to sell their merch there to fund their Canadian and American tour, and it's Volvadinia. They're leaving next month, and then they're coming to Canada, and they're coming to America.
These guys are phenomenal.
Yes, and they're phenomenal. They're phenomenal.
Fucking fantastic, man.
The guys are insane. So we're very excited. We're trying to get them on our show as well, but the lead singer lives about 1,200 kilometers away from us. And then, so it's difficult because ours are studio based. With the local bands, we started to do studio based. So to get them all together to sit there so that we can interview them, we're working on that, and we really shout out to Volvadinia, please.
Yeah.
Please. So we're trying for that, but just a shout out to anybody that is big on metal and that know the Volvadinia guys. Please buy tickets to go see them live. You will not be disappointed. Those guys are amazing. They are amazing.
Here in Canada. Send me the dates for the Canadian shows.
I will go on their Facebook page and then see. I think they've got a whole leaflet with all their dates and everywhere they're going in Canada and in America. And then I will. You
guys do a lot of heavy metal primarily. Is that correct?
Yeah, metal, punk,
and rock, rock. Metal.
A couple freestyle raps guys on there, Nick and Andrew, but they also incorporate guitar and shit into their stuff as well, so it's kind of a crossover. But yeah,
what is nice for season 2, we've got rock bands. For Stone Daisies, we've got rock bands, and then we've got another guy. His name is Kai. He's I don't want to say he's a rap artist. I don't want to say rap, Kai. I apologize, but he's also amazing and everything. So we don't want to limit it to one genre,
right?
Because I don't just listen to one genre, and I don't think you listen to one genre. We all listen to all the genres, and we want to give all the genres a platform to get their music and stuff out.
Right. I will say this also, and I totally understand and I agree with what you're saying. But I found myself nodding my head and thinking I'm not really being honest. by nodding my head as far as my show goes, because you know, I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of country, and I'm a rock and roll chick. That's what I know. That's what I love. And I find for myself, you know, because I choose all the guests that I have on the show based on people I grew up listening to and still want to hear. Because I find if I were to get an artist on and I'm just not into their music, I'm not feeling their music, it makes to me for a very unauthentic interview.
Yeah,
that's
you're
true.
right.
That's true.
You know, I had
where...
the odd person say, "Oh, why don't you get this country star on?" And I was like, I don't think I could fake my way through this. There's some major talented country artists out there, 100%. That's for another show, not mine.
Yeah.
No, exactly. I agree. There's also country is it's like a funny genre. Not everybody listens to it. I know 1 or 2 or 3 songs, but I don't buy an album, and I won't go to a country show.
Right.
So 1 or 2 songs that you know, the familiar ones. But I'm also not big on country, so I don't even think country is big in South Africa. I might be wrong.
I would be surprised if it was, actually. But I will say this, though, that people that are country fans, man, they are diehard country fans.
Oh, yeah.
They're loyal and they're solid, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I laughed a lot. Funny you should say that. I saw a meme on Facebook that said they don't call it country anymore. It's farm emo. Farm emo. I'm like, whatever. Change the name.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Where can you guys find you on social? Do you have a link tree that we can maybe put into the comments where they can find you on all your social media platforms?
I can definitely send some links to the show after.
Well, please do, so we can put it on the pages for you.
And then they'll be right in the title for us. When you send them, I'll update all that then, and then that'd be perfect.
Sounds great, yeah. And your links are now on my page, yours.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
TheBoneYard, and as well as YouTube, yeah.
Nice.
We support each other, right?
We have to.
There's the sunshine is for everybody. Why not?
Anytime you want to be back on, just let us know, man. And you know, you're always welcome on the show. You're fantastic. We love what you do.
Bring your
as well.
friends. Bring your friends to the show.
I'm so kidding. I have some of the best people in my life ever, and you know, this is funny that the viewers, a lot of them I've come to think of them as friends. Like, I don't know, you guys have, well, clearly you guys have experienced that as well. But you know, I have people that I met strictly through the show, and you know, we chat sometimes, and they're just cool people.
No,
you know,
it's true.
I've got 2 friends in South Africa and about 65,000 friends in America and Canada, and everybody that knows me better than the 2 friends in South Africa.
Real suck, because, like, for example, you could come and stay at my house if you're in this area. You do lunch. See, you never have to pay for a hotel. You just come to Canada and you have lots of places to stay.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. I'm planning on going to America and then Canada as well. So I am working on it. I did go for my visa, but there was a little bit of a hiccup. So I have to apply again, which I'll do in the next month and so. And then once that is going, then with South Africa, you need a visa for Canada, you need a visa for America, and Americans, they don't want people to come into their country. It's like a list like this, and if you don't ticket, then sorry, you can't go. 5-minute appointment, they tell you, sorry, you can't go, come back. I'm like,
I have
seriously?
dual citizenship, and they don't want me coming back.
What did you do, Jay?
Yeah. But like when I went,
I never had a problem, TJ. What did you do?
I always have a problem.
South Africa's like, bring all of them. You come, you just buy your ticket. Come to South Africa. We're friendly. We invite everybody. But America, it's difficult to get in there. It is really difficult to get in.
You know, truthfully, I would go to South Africa before I'd go to. I've been to New York and I've been to Vegas, and I'm good. I'm good. I would go to South Africa if I had a choice before I would go back to the States.
You just tell me when you're at the airport. You don't have to pay for any hotels. You can come and sleep on me, okay?
You got
I'll take you everywhere.
Yeah, they didn't even ask me how long I was staying for. They just said, "You're on vacation." Yep, stamped my passport, and off I went. No trouble at all, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when we picked him up at the airport, I passed him a joint, and he's like, "I'm like, you can light it. It's legal in South Africa." And he's like,
it's legal
like
everywhere.
everywhere. It's legal everywhere. So just smoke your
Legal here. I love how it's legal.
I think that probably got a lot of people through the strange.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. I think a lot of people. This whole pandemic just threw everybody off. I think it shaked everybody because the life that you knew changed in an instant. It was like things that was there weren't there.
Right.
People that were always there passed away. Like suddenly, it's what people went through with this whole pandemic. It's horrible. It's horrible when you hear the stories what the people went through. It's sad.
Tough. I think all you can do, really, like for myself personally, I'm always a glass half full kind of gal, and so I think, you know, I just have a whole new appreciation that I might necessarily not have had before, and I was saying this on another show. You know, I used to have such lofty goals. You know, my bucket list was I want this car and I want this kind of house and this kind of man and this, you know, that was my perception of what was necessary for me to be happy. And there's really been a shift for me, and I'm grateful for it. As far as just not taking crap for granted. And so now all I want these days, I just want my people to be happy and healthy. And I just want to go to Walmart and smile at a senior citizen. You know, it really is. It just has completely shifted what's cool and what's important in my life. And I think that's what you take out of it.
That's what I want to say. I think that was needed in a lot of people's lives, because once you get stagnant and you get into that go to work, come home, go to work, come home, and you don't realize that life is actually that short. Yeah. Because everybody thinks, oh, I've got another couple of years, I've got another couple of years, I've got another couple of years, and then nobody actually does anything, because I've got a couple of years to still live my dream and everything. And when the pandemic hit, a lot of people started doing their passions, starting their businesses, leaving their jobs, and then just bursting out of their seams, like some in positive way. Well, most of them, and that is always good. But then there is a lot that didn't make it through the pandemic, which is sad. Right. It's not nice.
I think that's the ticket. I think, you know, and you hit the nail on the head also when you said, you know, that's the funny thing is we think we have time. And we don't know if we have time, you know, and there's another philosophy of, well, I'll do this when this happens. You know, I'll go on that trip once I lose 20 pounds, or I'll do this once I have a man, blah, blah, blah. You know, you just gotta, my attitude is just, you know, if you can dream it, you can do it. If my mother always taught me, if one other person is doing something you want to do, then why not you? No. And you don't have to wait for a man. You don't have to wait until you lose 10 pounds or gain 10 pounds or get a certain job. Like, you just do it like it's your last day, because we don't know. And I think this last couple of years really, you know, really brought that to the forefront for people. We don't know. Like, who would ever have thought that we'd live through something like this in our day and age?
No one. No one. Absolutely no one. It was a shock for everybody.
Right now, you know, it's never been better than it is right now. But yet we still have old school problems like that, pandemics in the sense, like the plague or the Spanish flu. You know, it's always right there behind you.
And you know what? I was thinking of this the other day when I was thinking about the pandemic, and you know, and then people sort of reference, you know, the Spanish flu and what they lived through, and I think, could you imagine living through the last 2 years without freaking Facebook? Or could you imagine, like, if we had to go through this, you know, 100 years ago, sitting in a house, right? Oh my gosh, it would have been so much worse. I mean, we had the internet, YouTube, we had Facebook, we had Twitter, we had Insta, you know, so we were alone, but we didn't have to be lonely.
Yeah,
we could keep ourselves busy. We could keep ourselves busy.
And we had music. We had access to whatever music we fancied listening to that day. And so I think as far as pandemics go, we had it pretty easy compared to our ancestors.
Yeah,
we did. So my last question to you is, of all the bands or who is the one band that you really want on your show? One of your favorites that you maybe want to use us today to ask them to be on your show? Who would that be? If you have one artist that
Kim
you
Mitchell.
really want on. Say again?
I'm looking at you.
And he's a pretty chill dude, for what I understand too. You know, he's pretty laid back and everything. My buddy his dad used to do the stage managing for a lot of the bands.
Right.
And Kim Mitchell was there the one time. Sass Jordan, Tea Party. He was manager of them for quite a while when we were growing up, right? And never got to meet Kim Mitchell, but I hear he's fucking pretty good dude, man.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Like I'm, you know, I've gotten some people and I've reached out. It hasn't happened yet, but I am not one to give up. So sooner or later, if I have to, you know, hide in his bushes, he's going to be on my.
Pop out with a camera. You're live.
You know what? And if you had asked me a year ago, I probably would have said and this is truthful. I'm not like butt kissing here or anything. If you had asked me a year ago, there would have been 10 or 15 more I would have said, but they've all been on. Like I'm so grateful. A lot of the people that were on my bucket list have graciously been, you know, agreed to be on my show. So yeah, Burton Cummings and Kim Mitchell. Those are my next victims. I guess.
Here, like, anytime I'm setting music and I reach out to the band, it's like 98% of them come on the show. So it's like, oh shit. So that one's off. You know, oh, I've interviewed them. Oh wow. Who do I get next to top that? You know, for personally.
Yeah.
Not for the
you
audience.
always find someone, right? Like I know there's guests I had on. I was like, I think that was the biggest guest I've had on, and then it's like, no, I think this is. But it's all perception. It depends who you ask. You know, it really depends.
That's true. That is true.
I gotta talk to.
I still get super excited when you get that call. You guys must know that when you get the email or the text back, and I'd love to do it.
Like, whoa.
My daughter actually, there's a big South African artist, Fransha van Coke. They like a South Afrikaans rock band, but they sing in Afrikaans and sometimes English, but mostly Afrikaans. And she just sat at home and she's crazy about this artist. He's one of the biggest names in South Africa. And she sent him an Instagram message. And like 10 minutes later, he sent her a message back. Yeah, of course I'll be on your podcast. And I'm like, what? I know. She's like, Mom, Fransha van Coke said he'll be on our podcast. We were so excited. So the thing is, if you reach out, 99% of them says yes.
They do. I think one of the coolest experiences of like you just described was Bill Henderson from Chilliwack, who was on actually just a few weeks ago. I thought, well, he'll probably, I don't know, but I'm going to try, right? So I'm pretty good at sleuthing down people's personal information. So I fire him off an email and he got back to me in 10 minutes and he goes, yeah, sure. What's the drill? Like,
wow.
All right. So from the time I approached him, wrote the email and was doing promo for the show, it was like half an hour.
Wow, eh?
It was like, it was awesome. Yeah, but you're right. The guests are amazing. They're gracious. I've never been made to feel like, I'll do your stupid little show, but I don't really want to. They've always been so great, gracious, and happy.
Shout out to all of the artists that come on our shows. I mean, if it's not for them, we wouldn't have shows. So thank you to the artists that always agree to be on our shows, and for you for being on our show.
Thank you for having me. It was quite an honor. I had a blast.
Anytime. I came across normally, like I said, it's always music that is shuffling through, and then your podcast came up. I stopped. I was like, oh, let's check this out. Seeing what you do and stuff, I was like, we got to have her on. And boop, 20 minutes later, you got back to me. Yeah, sure. What do we do, right?
And because I know how it feels when I ask somebody and they get back to me right away. And why wouldn't I? I got to meet the lovely Ilsa. TJ, I've been talking to for a bit.
Thank you so much.
You probably need to go to sleep. What time is it there?
It's 5 minutes past 3 in the morning.
Oh my God. Oh, yeah. I'm drinking Red Bull because it's only 7 here.
I got water. I wanted to make coffee, and then I think if I drink coffee now, because right after this, I'm getting back into my bed because I'm still in my pajamas. This is my bed hair. I look like this when I wake up in the morning. Like, don't get scared. I don't always look like this.
You look just fine for 3 a.m., sister.
Thank you very much.
Oh, while I was there, we did quite a few shows together at 3 a.m. Then, so I know her page. I had to get up. It's like, oh fuck, wipe the shit off your eyes, right?
It's like I'm not doing this. My eyes are so puffy.
I'm preparing the night before for the show. Like I generally don't go out too late Saturday nights.
Yeah.
Although I will be going out this Saturday night to see my friends Lawless Murphy. But anyway, I generally don't go out Saturday nights because I want to go to bed early. I want to go over my notes. I have to be up. Like I get up at 7 o'clock on Sunday mornings because I want to be awake for hours before I interview my guests. I'm
unprofessional now. I don't take notes. All I do is just listen to the music, and that's it. The rest of it, I just let the conversation go, right?
Me too. I'm also a let a conversation go. We usually write down questions, but we almost never keep to the questions when we do the podcast because we start talking and then we talk and then they say something. I'm like, really? And then we go on to that and then you miss all the questions.
You know, I'll let you in on a secret. I make notes because my short-term memory is completely hooped. And you know, a lot of that is from 23 years on the road.
Yeah, part of
alcohol and whatnot. Seriously, there was a lot of shenanigans with the partying for a lot of years, and my memory, like my short-term memory, is hooped. So, and I don't necessarily follow them verbatim, and I don't necessarily always have them, but I like to know in my head they're there specifically, so I get dates right. You know, so I get a date right, or oh, you won the Juno Award.
No, album name or something like that.
And I'll never remember it. I can tell you what I did 20 years ago, but that's why I drink Red Bull now.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Looking for sponsors, Red Bull.
I actually know a guy that works for Red Bull.
Sober girls cocaine. That's what this is. Sober girls cocaine.
That is true. That is true. That is so true.
It gives you wings and shit, right?
Yeah. You don't need cocaine.
I can definitely use them sometimes. I gotta fly over here. I think I'll write down where the band's from and know their city and stuff like that. But for the most part, I just kind of let it go, let it fly, see where it goes. I've had some interviews for 15 minutes, and then it's like, time to call it. Others go 2 hours. You never know what you're walking into, right?
Yeah, everyone has a different format, and I just like to be prepared. And if I use them, I use them, and if I don't, I don't. But it gives me happiness to know they're there.
It calms the nerves also when you have a little bit of something written down, because Afrikaans is my first language, so English is my second language. And my English is pay as you go. Sometimes it just finishes mid-sentence. Then I don't know what the English word is. So then I have to check, okay, I wrote this down. Let's start with this sentence. We leave that sentence where it is.
Right. Yeah.
Is there anything else we should cover tonight, or?
I don't know. I think we're good. Unless you guys had something else.
Well, I'm good for now, man.
Who are your upcoming guests?
That's what I wanted to ask you now. Who's your upcoming guest? Do you want to just tell our viewers when they can find you, where they can find you, and then who your up-and-coming guests are?
Okay, so in closing, I'll just mention once again, so the show is called Etc. on the Vibe Live. And if you just Google that, you can Google it on Facebook, you can Google it on Google, and it'll pop up. And then my YouTube channel will pop up. The Vibe Live podcast and broadcast. Now it's called the Vibe Live Productions. We just changed that this week. So if you just were to Google that, all my shows would come up. So every show I've ever done is on there.
Okay.
I just want to say a big shout out while I have the platform to my viewers again for they've been there from the beginning, and they're there every week. And when shit has hit the fan on the show, and I got booted out of my own studio one time, Wi-Fi issues, and they were so concerned, and they were on, they were texting me, "Are you okay? Where'd you go? What happened?" Jay Semko from the Northern Pikes just he hosted his own interview because but they really just are the best, and I get on such a high when I do the show, and then afterwards I spend a lot of time. I answer every single comment, and I've done that from the beginning, because I want them to know how much I appreciate them, and I see who you are, I see your name, I know who you are, I know you're a regular here, and I love you and I appreciate you, and I always want them to know that, because I never kid myself that if they don't tune in, I don't have a show. So.
No,
exactly. You can have all the artists, but if nobody's going to watch your show, then it's no use. Then the artist, nobody gets anything from it. So
that's right.
Thank you to our viewers as well, to everybody, to Kerry, to Brandon, to Rennie, to let me just go down here. But there's so many comments here. We've got Kerry, we've got Brandon, we've got Adam. From Adam Christopher York, he was on Facebook, and then we've got Nicole, Hollywood. How can we forget Hollywood? Susan, Rennie. I think I've got all of them. Dave Lambert, and there was another one. Dave Lambert was on both of them. So shout out to all of you guys.
And just to answer the last part of your questions, and then I got to fly. But Dave Ray from Teenage Head, Canada's answer to the Ramones, one of my favorite bands. He's on this Sunday, and then April 10th I've got Todd Kearns, who has a podcast like this, but he has such big things going on right now. He's touring with Slash.
Wow.
Yeah, he's touring with Slash right now in the States, and he also has a band called Toque. And Todd Kearns is coming on April 10th. As soon as he gets back, from hanging out with that Slash dude.
Yeah.
So,
that's a cool Canadian word, man. Toque.
That is insane. That is so nice.
Yeah.
That is insane. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure,
thank
man.
You to our viewers. Thank you to all the bands that always come on our shows, and then shout out to everybody. Everybody. It's a shout out to everybody today.
Life is getting good again, people. Life is good.
Woo, party time. Enjoy your shows.
Play it proud. And tomorrow we have a double header, do we not? Let's say that real quick.
We do. We've got Pigweed, and I'm gonna lie to you if I have to put the other 5 seconds. 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to you now. We're talking to Corey James from, I don't want to lie. Almost there. From Carbonstone.
Carbonstone, that's it. I can't remember this.
Yeah, so we've got Pigweed. We've got Pigweed, and then we've got Carbonstone on. So 5 and then
double header,
baby.
You don't want to wake up for that one, Elsa.
I have to. Luckily, I told TJ, just phone me awake. My phone's always on silent. Nobody ever phones me. So I told him, I'm going to put my phone on, the ringer on, so you can phone me awake, because I don't want to miss this.
Thanks again, you guys, so much for having me on. It's been a blast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
We'll have you on again real soon for sure, man. You're welcome anytime.
Yes, definitely. And then I'll see you when I get to Canada.
All right.
All right, play loud, play proud, man, and we'll see you guys all tomorrow.
All right.